Hi guys, welcome to History 109. My name is Sarah Stapleton and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. So before we go on to the syllabus and the class schedule and those kinds of things, I want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of who I am and what I expect out of you guys. So my name, like I said, is Sarah Stapleton. I am a PhD student at the University of Kentucky. I've been teaching through the KCTCS system for about a year and a half now, so this will be rounding out my second year as a KCTCS instructor. I have taught both online and in person. I prefer teaching in person, but because I'm a PhD student and I'm no longer close to where I started, geographically, I have moved over to an online kind of basis. So, just as a aside, I am working with Vikings, so this is a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I have taught this course before, so I'm fairly comfortable with the content here. So, as the semester goes on, what I would like to see out of you guys is that if you have questions, if you don't understand material or something like that, make sure you get a hold of me, okay? My general class policy is that if you are struggling, but I can see improvement, you come to me and you talk to me and you tell me kind of what's going on, and we sit down and we work out a plan and you work hard and you show improvement, you will not fail the course, okay? So just make sure that you guys stay in touch with me throughout the semester. Make sure that I know what's going on, okay? And that's really all I expect out of you guys. You guys watch the videos, watch the lectures, do the assignments that are posted, and that's really all I want from you guys. If you do that, you will have a good grade in this course. You will absolutely, no doubts, do fine in this course. So just a little bit other things. So as you guys can probably see from my garbagey office, I am still moving in. I am from the Ashland area, and so we just came down here to Lexington at the start of this year for the school year. So we're still moving in. My office is the catch-all, so you'll see things periodically moved around back there, but honest to goodness, the move-in is going slow, so hopefully you guys will enjoy getting to see my home progress. That's my hope. So going on to the syllabus. Now, hopefully you guys are able to get onto the Blackboard shell for this course. On there, I have posted a little bit of course content. All of your assignments except your tests are posted. Your class schedule is posted. The syllabus is posted. I will be posting the rubric and the assignment for the essay as time goes on, but your place for you to turn in your essay is already uploaded on this course. So, starting out with the syllabus, let me go ahead and pull that up here. Let's see, syllabus spring. Okay. So, the syllabus is long, and unfortunately for you guys, the syllabus is a lot like all of the other syllabi that you've gotten at your time through the KCTCS system. So, I'm not going to go through every bit. I'm just going to highlight certain bits of it. Make sure that you read it, you understand it. If you have questions, please make sure that you let me know, okay? So for your first assignments, I have to have something that says that you're in the class. So make sure that you guys get me something that says that you're in the class, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm going to just start out with the syllabus. So as far as communication goes, communicating with me is probably the most important thing that you'll do this semester. So I don't have any physical office hours, but I can meet with you by request, either doing video chat, Skype. I can speak with you over the phone. I can set up a meeting, depending on which campus you're at. I can set up a meeting at a physical campus if that's easier for you. But just make sure you guys let me know when you need help with something. Email is always the best way to get a hold of me. Generally, I can get back to emails usually within 24 to 48 hours, 72 hours roughly during the holidays, and I'm not very good at getting back to people over the weekends. but make sure that you let me know if you're having issues. In the case that you can't get a hold of me by email, my rule of thumb is always, if I don't get back to you within 48 hours, email me again. And if I don't get back to you within 48 hours of that, call me. Okay? Please, no text messages. I am inundated with texts constantly, and I'm not a good texter. So generally what will happen is, if you're confused about something, make sure that you get a hold of me, and I will likely set up a time for me to actually physically talk to you, or call you over the phone or something like that, because I feel that these interactions between us with the screen and with you guys, it's not a very good interaction, and I want to make sure that I know you guys understand what's going on with this course. Okay, so the course name, as you guys know, is History 109. It's the history in the United States since 1865. Our course will actually cover just a little bit more time than that, so it will cover roughly expansion in the Middle Ages all the way to the present. And with that, we will just kind of briefly highlight certain things so you can understand kind of what's going on, what's coming along, building up to 1865, because 1865 is it's important. It's just after the Civil War, and it's almost impossible to understand Reconstruction without understanding the pieces that build up to the Civil War. And if you don't understand the Civil War, you can't understand history since 1865. There's a ton of things that go back all the way to the Civil War, and they go back all the way to the beginning of our country. And so without those little pieces of knowledge, it's kind of harder to understand history since 1865. So we're going to kind of touch on those things here and there. And then after that, we'll move on to go beyond that. This is spring of 2019. We are meeting online. Yay! You will have 3 credit hours for this course, and about 45 contact hours for this semester. Your course text is called Nothing to Fear, FDR's Inner Circle and the 100 Days That Created Modern America. This is a fantastic book, and it's cheap too. You can get it anywhere from like $2 online to about $20. There is an ebook that you can get that runs about $15. So this isn't a super expensive book. Believe me, I'm a student. I understand not wanting to buy expensive books. Expensive books are absolutely ridiculous, and I don't like them. So I like cheap books, which is part of the reason why I chose this book. Another reason that I chose this book is because it kind of changes some of the perceptions that most people have about the Great Depression. So FDR, as you guys probably know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was one of the, if not the most influential president in American history. And this book will kind of explain why he was so influential and why it was that he was so successful during his presidency. Because the first 100 days of his presidency really set the stage for the entire his entire career as president. It's a fantastic book. It is also one of those books that's fairly easy to grasp. There's not a whole lot of theoretical mumbo jumbo to it, and you know, if you're not a historian, some of that stuff kind of gets lost in the Cleobabble. But for this book, it's a good history book for just a general history. This is meant for general readership. It's a fantastic book. It's by a man named Adam Cohen. As an aside for you guys, if you are interested in doing this, if you have an Audible account, this book is available on Audible. It's not the best way to write your summaries and assessments, but it is available if you guys are interested. It is a quick read. It's entertaining. It's very entertaining. And none of your tests will be over this book, okay? This book is to supplement what we're discussing here on the lectures. So with this, you will have a summary and assessment that's due every week, approximately every week. But we'll get on to that here in just a minute. And then you'll also have a primary source document analysis, which we'll also talk about here in just a moment. So required course materials, you are required to have your textbook. The rest of these are simply things that are recommended. So your textbook is required. All of your assignments are required, but a binder with paper, most people what they do is they will print out the PowerPoints that I've kind of set up for you guys, and they'll just take notes off the PowerPoints going along with my lectures. Writing implement, of course, and then 4 different colored highlighters. And the reason why I recommend this is that the way that the tests are set up is they will be set up with people, places, terms. Okay, those people, places, and terms will be the only thing that the test will be on. Okay, occasionally people like to mark the dates with the highlighters. So what I recommend doing is that you assign a color for people, you assign a color for places, and you assign a color for terms. And if you can figure out what those are, create a definition for them. It doesn't have to be done all at once. Okay, you guys can go every week and you can do your people, you can do your places, and you can do your terms for that week, and you can make them really manageable. And then what you'll do is you'll just use those to study. You'll create definitions for them. And so when the test comes along and I have a multiple choice question that has, this member was this person was a member of FDR's cabinet, and she witnessed the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory, and she was one of those people who helped to create Social Security. You'll know, Frances Perkins, that's who that is. So that's really an important and a really critical way that you guys can study for these exams. Okay, but beyond that, it's really kind of optional. So your minimal technical skills, you should be able to create a document in a word processor. I don't care what kind of word processor you guys use, just so long as I can read it, okay? Usually Google Docs don't work so well here, but if you save them as an RTF, I think is what it is, or just a doc, then I can open them. But you should be able, within that word processor, to adjust margins, fonts, spacing, all of that stuff you guys should be able to do. Excuse me. You guys should be able to create and send emails with attachments. That's really important. Download and install software, and submit assignments via Blackboard. Because we're not meeting in a physical classroom, you guys being able to navigate Blackboard is really important, okay? That's where everything for this semester is going to be, and if you can't get onto Blackboard and you can't work through Blackboard, you guys are really going to struggle with this, okay? But hopefully we don't have to worry about that. Your course competencies, you guys know how to read. I'm not going to read you the course competencies. That's kind of silly in my book, but I know some professors want to do that. I'm just not one of them. As far as general education requirements go, a history course, it's my understanding that you have to have a history course for your general education. And more than anything, this is just to make you a well-rounded human, okay? You guys are future electricians, future plumbers. You're not future historians. I don't expect you guys to be able to come in and tell me the names and dates of every person in FDR's cabinet. Most historians can't even do that. That's not the point of this. The point of this is to make you guys well-rounded and functional in society. We want you to be able to think about what's going on in society and how this relates back to past events and what you guys can do about them. Okay, this isn't something where you guys are going to be expected to come out with a perfect understanding of modern America. We just want you guys to be able to think critically more than anything else. If you can show me that you can think critically, you will succeed in this class. Okay, so the way that the class is set up for grading, you have a couple of different assignments. So you have your test. You'll have 3 for the entire semester. That's it. First test is about, I believe, 5 weeks in. Second test is about 10 weeks in. And then your final exam, that's your third test. That's all the tests that are there, okay? They will be multiple choice. They will be available on Blackboard. You won't have to really worry about them too much if you follow the study methods that I've suggested, okay? Your reading summaries and assessments, these are 30% of your grade, just like your tests are. They're worth just as much as your test. So even if you bomb the test, as long as you do well on your summary and assessments, your primary source document analysis, and your essay, you can still do really well in the class, okay? So your summaries and assessments, what I want you to do, if you pull up the documents that tell you about the summary and assessments, what I want you to do is I want you to read the assigned chapters for each week. And then I want you to write a 1 to 2 page summary and then write an assessment on it. I need you to identify the thesis of those 2 chapters, or chapter, or section, or book, whichever is assigned to you. You need to not only identify it, but identify the author and the book title correctly. I want it to be typed in Times New Roman, 12-point font, with 1-inch margins all around. There is an attached document that shows you exactly how I want the content set up, and it's labeled how to write a chapter summary, and that has helpful hints, it has formatting, it's got all of that stuff, so you can actually see what I'm wanting from you guys, okay? You guys will be graded on your ability to follow directions, show basic writing skills, and show precision in your summary and your thoughtfulness of your assessment. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care particularly about your summary. I just need to be able to see that you've read it. Your assessment is what I want to see. I want to see you guys being able to think critically about what you've read. I want you guys to be able to go through and say, these are the issues that I've got with this. These are the points that are maybe not quite represented well. I don't like the formatting of the book. It's not a good format for students to really be able to pick up on content. There were sections that were really confusing. If you can identify them and talk about them, shoot, I don't care if you rip the book apart for all I care. I just want to be able to see you guys thinking about what you're reading, okay? So you can write a 4-sentence summary of the 2 chapters. I don't care. Your assessment's what I want to see. Most people take a little bit more writing of a summary to be able to write a good assessment. So, you know, if you are really good at writing summaries and you can sum it up in a couple of sentences, great. If not, write a little bit more for your summary. But I really want to see you guys do well with your assessment. Now, on your assessment, you need to identify your assessment as being separate from your summary. Okay, so you know, you can just write a little introduction to your assessment. You can write a little introduction to your summary. Just give me some kind of hint or clue that what you're doing for the summary and the assessment are separate pieces, okay? Most people will do them in like 2 separate paragraphs or something like that. Just give me some kind of visual that says, hey, here's my summary, hey, here's my assessment, okay? And that's really all you have to do for your summary and assessment. They're cake. They're so easy. You just have to be able to do it, okay? And this book is not a bad read. It's a general history. You guys should be able to read the couple of chapters that I assigned to you guys fairly quickly. They're short little dinky chapters. But that's really all there is to it. And then you just submit it over Blackboard. They're cake. So for your essay is going to be posted. I'm hoping to post those over the weekend, this weekend. And then those are where your essay is about 10% of your grade, so it's out of like 100 points. Then you've got your primary source document analysis and participation. Now, what I want you guys to do with your primary source document analysis, and this is really super duper easy, is that you just find and identify a primary source document. And I'm going to consider that your participation for the class. So you're going to locate a primary source document, and you're just going to tell me a little bit about it. Same kind of setup, Times New Roman, 12-point font, 1-inch margins, and then fully answer about 4 questions. Cake. It's cake. What is the source? So tell me, What is it? If it's a rock, tell me, this is a rock. Where did you find this source? Tell me what website you found it at, what book you found it in. Tell me what led you to find it, what kind of got you interested in it. How did you go about locating the source? Tell me about its history. So if you find it in a book somewhere, the book usually will tell you a little bit about it. So it'll tell you like what museum it's at, if it is in a museum. It'll tell you where they found it, how old it is, if it's got any kind of connections with any historical figures. That's what I'm looking for with that, okay? What's its historical significance? Why is it so important to history? What about it is important to history? What does it tell you about history? So this rock may be a rock that fell on the head of some famous person and killed him. Why is it significant? Because it killed this guy who is super important to history, and you know, if he hadn't been hit in the head with this rock, maybe he would have taken over the entire dang world. I don't know. You tell me. Why is it important? Why do we need to look at this? If it's a document, tell me what that document does to other people. Does it change anything? Does it change your perception of something? Does it change the way that we look at the civil rights movement? Does it change the way that we look at, or the way that we study the Depression? You know, does it change the way that historians should look at it? And that's all you've got to do for that. Now, when you look for a primary source, primary sources are harder at explaining than they are actually finding, in my opinion. Primary source is simply something that was created during the time period discussed. So imagine for a minute that you're wanting to find more information out about your great-great-grandmother. Your great-great-grandmother died 3 months ago, and your mom is helping you go through her things, right? So based on what you're finding in your great-great-grandmother's attic, those are all primary sources because they tell you about her life, right? So if you find a lot of hospital bills, you might be able to find out, oh, she was really sick for a really long time. And she was sick with this disease and this disease and this disease, and these are the things that they were doing to try to help her to cope with these diseases, right? If you find a lot of costume jewelry or a lot of makeup or you know, particularly expensive jewelry, you could know that either she's got a lot of debt. Number two, she's kind of got a vain personality. You can tell a lot of things by the things that people left behind, right? Let's say you find a journal or letters. Maybe you find letters between your grandmother and a secret lover. You never know. But finding those primary source documents are going to help you find out a little bit more about your great-grandmother, right? So those are the kinds of things that we're talking about here. So things that were created during that time by the people who were there. It can be paintings. It can be diaries, journals, letters, pieces of physical evidence. So arrowheads, tanned leather, bones, practically anything you could possibly imagine that was created or that lived at the time period that's being discussed. Those all count as primary source documents, okay? So when we go through exploration, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to say that the primary source document analysis piece is exploration and that you found it by going through my course lectures and that you found the source on Blackboard. I got a lot of those last semester. That's not what I'm looking for, and you won't get credit for that. So what I want you to do is identify a specific piece, okay? So maybe if we're talking about exploration, you found a gold doubloon somewhere online, and you're looking at it, and you can tell that this gold doubloon has a date, so it will tell you where it was minted in. It will tell you what year it was minted in. It will tell you where it was found. Things like that. That's what I'm looking for. Very specific pieces of evidence, okay? You might find a ship log that tells you what was on the ship, what ship it was for, what country it's coming out of. Very specific pieces, That's what I'm looking for the primary source document analysis. And those are all over the internet. You can find them on Pinterest. You can find them on Google. The easiest way that I found to do it is just to go to a museum website. So if you can find, say for Daniel Boone, I had somebody show me Daniel Boone's hunting gear last semester. Really stinking cool. Mammoth bones. There is a museum that holds mammoth bones. That's really cool. And the really neat thing about the mammoth bones, most people don't realize this, but the mammoths, like giant hairy elephants that lived in North America, they were still around when the pyramids were being created. I had no idea until like last semester. Who'd have thought, right? Well, you only learn that if you look at the primary source documents and the primary sources that are available to you. And you can use pottery. You can use practically anything that was created during that time. And it will teach you something about that time period. You may not learn a lot, but it'll teach you something, right? So that's what I'm looking for the primary source document analysis. It's cake. It takes like half a page to answer. And that's really all there is to it. And I don't care if you guys just kind of go through and you answer it on the same page and then you turn it into me just like that. I don't care. Just make sure that you get it and you have good grammar, you've got good punctuation, and you're thinking about it. I want to see you thinking. That's the most important thing, is that you're thinking. And the really good ones, sorry, it's kind of shaking here. The really good ones I'll share with you guys the next class. If I think they're particularly cool, I will share them with the class in the lecture the next time we get together. So that pretty much takes care of that. So going back to the syllabus just a minute. What I am looking for as far as grading goes, make sure, because English is so crucial to everything that you guys will do from here, and thinking critically is so important for everything that you will do from this point forward. Make sure that you're showing me good grammar, good punctuation, good basic writing skills. No contractions. So if you've got is not, don't put it together and put it as isn't. Put is not. Okay? No contractions. Use good punctuation. Know when your periods are. Know when your commas are. Know when you use a semicolon if you're going to use a semicolon, which I never recommend ever using a semicolon. Don't use semicolons. They're bad. Ha! They make me angry because nobody ever uses them correctly. Don't use them. But if you do, make sure you use them correctly. I had one kid the second semester I taught, the last time I taught this class in a physical setting, who put one semicolon in every single paper, and he was the only person who I think I'd ever met that ever used the semicolon correctly. If you can use them correctly, great. I won't take any points off. But don't use semicolons. 2 short sentences are better. But if you can do that, and you can show me that you're thinking critically, you're bound to do fairly well in this class. Okay? So a 90 to 100% is an A. So what that equals up to is all of these points put together will equal up to approximately 1,000 points. Actually, it should equal up to exactly 1,000 points. So if you get 900 points to 1,000 points, you get an A! Yay! If you have anywhere between 800 and 899, that's a B. So it translates over to 80% to 89%. Okay? C's are 700 to 799, so 70 to 79 is a C. D's 600 to 699, 60 to 69, and then F is anything that's 599 points and below. Generally speaking, the only reason that you ever fail my class is if you stop turning in assignments. So all you have to do is actually do the work, and I've never met a single person who has ever failed my class but turned in every single assignment. In 2 years, not a single person. Don't be that person who's the first one. But it's really hard to fail this class if you just do the work. That's all you have to do. Okay? General class policies. making sure you listen to the lectures, and that you're in, this is essentially our class, so making sure you're in the class. That's the bread and butter of this class. Turning in your assignments, bread and butter of the class. If you come to class, you listen to the lectures, and I can see which ones of you guys listen to the lectures and which one of you don't. I can see how often you guys are logging on to Canvas. If you listen to the lectures, you do your assignments, talk to me if you're having problems or you have questions. That's all you have to do, and you will not fail the class. I will not let you fail the class. Period. Okay? I do not take late or makeup work at all. This is an online class. There is absolutely no reason that you guys should not be able to turn in your assignments. If for some reason you cannot, I don't know, maybe you're going out of town to, I don't know, Africa for a month, and you can't get your assignments turned in on time, make sure you let me know. And just be like, hey, Sarah, I'm going out of town for these days, and I'm not going to have access to the internet. Can I email this assignment to you on this date? A lot of times, I'll be pretty open to doing that if you let me know ahead of time. That's the key. You let me know ahead of time, and then you send me a reminder email if you can the day of. And as long as you do that, that's great. In the case that I screw up on something, let's say you turn something in and for some reason it doesn't come to me, make sure that you let me know as quickly as possible. So let's say, you know that you turned in an assignment and I gave you a 0 on it because I don't have it. Make sure you contact me and say, Sarah, I sent it to you by email. Sarah, I submitted it over Canvas, or this is Blackboard, I guess. I submitted it over Canvas on this date. And if I can go back and check and see that you actually submitted it, you will get credit for it, okay? If I see that you tell me that I said you could turn it in later, you'll get credit for it. So if I screw up, make sure you let me know. I am human. I am not infallible. I make mistakes. If you see something, say something, okay? Beyond that, you can turn in assignments early, but you cannot turn them in late unless you do as we just discussed. If you turn them in late, I will not accept them. You will get a 0 on them, period. The last day to withdraw is on March 25th, 2019, and if I'm not mistaken, March 25th, you can still get a W, but, oh, yeah, you can still get a W in the class, but beyond that, you cannot drop after that, is my understanding. So, I usually don't do incompletes, so unless you have a medical emergency, I don't do them. Don't ask for them. Plagiarism. As far as plagiarism and cheating go, I will make one thing clear to you immediately. I do not put up with it. If I even think that you guys are plagiarizing, you will get a 0 on the assignment. If I catch you more than once, you will get a 0 on the assignment. But if I catch you more than once, I will turn you in to every higher power that I have. And what that means is that you will be thrown out of the school. And not only will you be thrown out of the school, you will not be allowed to enter into any other school because plagiarism and cheating are the equivalent of academic murder. Okay? If you murdered somebody, you wouldn't expect people to let you into the shopping malls, would you? Normal society would not accept you. This is academia. Academia will not accept you. Okay? Don't do it. Don't let me catch you doing it. Don't even breathe the sigh of thinking about it. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. It's really easy to not do it. All you have to do is put quotations around things and tell me where you got it from. And that's all there is to it. There are gajillions of different ways to cite sources. If you are worried that you might possibly be plagiarizing, or that you're not sure how to properly cite something, let me know. And I will point you to a bajillion different options for a place to show you how to cite. What I recommend you do is that you find a citation guide and that you stick to it like flies on crap. There is a website called Purdue OWL Online Writing Lab. They've got general guidelines for just about every citation style that you could possibly think of. They're excellent. They've got examples. They can show you what different kinds there are, maybe what might work best for what you're going into, depending on what you're doing. I very highly recommend them. And really, that's all there is to it. You just find one, you stick with it, and you use it in your papers. If you have questions or you're concerned, let me know and I can point you to some more resources that will help you. But do not do it, because I absolutely will fail you. And I will turn you into every higher power that I have at my disposal. And that's enough to be said about that one. If you have disabilities, make sure that you let me know. If you do not go to the Disability Service Coordinator, I do not have to accommodate you. So if you are disabled, make sure that I have some kind of paperwork that says, hey, I'm actually disabled. And I'll be more than happy to help you out with whatever you need help with. I just have to have something that says that you're actually disabled. Okay? So for your Title IV funds, your financial aid and grants and those kinds of things, your first assignment is coming up. And you should only have a chapter summary and assessment due. If you do not turn that in, or you don't email me or let me know that you exist somehow, you will be dropped from the course. And they will not allow you to have your funds. So make sure that you do that. And that's pretty much it for your syllabus. Now, the other thing that I want to discuss with you guys, if you guys will pull up your class schedule. Your class schedule is pretty self-explanatory, but I want to make sure that you guys understand what's going on. So your readings, when you go to your columns that says readings, it tells you what day your readings are due. Okay, so for week 1, which is today, 1/14/19. This is just an introduction to the course. Every Saturday by midnight, I will post a lecture. And on that Saturday, you will also have due, by midnight, your chapter summary and assessment and your primary source document analysis. You will take your primary source that relates to the course before. So for this time around, you guys have, I think, exploration, which is already posted in the introduction section on your course content. You go to your course content, you click on the lecture, you watch the lecture, and then you find a primary source that kind of correlates to it. So for exploration, you might do arrowheads. You have to assess that, turn it into on Blackboard by midnight on Saturday. Then you watch the next post, the next lecture, and then by that next Saturday, you have to have your primary source document analysis done. So when we go into a brief recap of the Civil War on 1/19/19, by 2/2/19, you have to have the primary source document analysis and the chapter summaries both turned in by midnight. Okay? Those are the dates that those are due. Now, your test will be posted on 2/16/19. Your first test will be posted on 2/16/19. You will have 3 days to get that test done. Usually it's about 25 questions. And then from there, you'll just watch that next summary and or your next lecture, which will be on the progressive era. You turn in your assignments for that week. And it just goes on and on and on like that, exactly the same way every single week until the end of the semester. If you want to, you can absolutely work ahead. The summary and assessment, or the primary source document analysis, it's a little harder to work ahead on, but for your readings, you can absolutely work ahead. In fact, I recommend you work ahead, so that way if you get sick, you get the flu, whatever, you have a lot less work to do to catch up, right? And so you just do that throughout the entire semester. You just do your summary and assessments and your chapter summary or your primary source document analysis, and that's all there is to it. Lectures will last for approximately an hour. You'll have PowerPoints that kind of go along with them that you guys can take notes on. Spring break starts on March 11th and goes to March 17th. And your final will be approximately May 3rd. And it'll function just exactly like the other tests. The tests are not cumulative. You will not have to go back and search for content from the first test to study for the last test. History doesn't work that way. It's almost impossible to create a test of that scope. I'm not going to expect you guys to do it, so don't worry about it. And then you've got the essay that's due on April 20th. If for some reason something comes up or something like that, you need to let me know immediately. And that's pretty much all there is to it. That's the whole semester in a nutshell. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments to make on this, or if you want to add something to the class, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to add those on there. So what you guys will have to do, once you watch this, you will have 3 YouTube videos to watch after this one. And they're far more entertaining than I am, honestly. They're usually crash course histories. They're a lot of fun. And the guy who does them is really good, and he's an actual historian. So just watch that. Watch it by the 19th, and then after you watch those, you'll have your primary source document analysis that correlates with those. So, and they cover everything from expansion to almost up to the Civil War, if not the Civil War. I can't remember exactly which ones I put on there. And so you'll find just a primary source from that time. It could be the Constitution. It could be any number of things. And you assess them. You turn that in, and you read your summaries. Or you do your summaries. Now, your book. I've already had one person contact me and say that there's an issue with trying to get the books in on the bookstore. If that's the case, make sure you let me know that you're having issues getting your books in. What I will recommend that you do is that you go to Google Books. You Google your book for this class. And the first 44 pages are online. You can read them online. Absolutely 100% available. Another thing that you can do is you can buy the digital copy, which you can get for Kindle or any other kind of book processing technology that you have. I'm not very good with technology, so I don't know what you guys have. You can also listen to the Audible book. Audible is wonderful. You can listen to it while you take a shower. You can listen to it while you're doing dishes. Do whatever. But you'll have that content there, at least that way. Let me know if you're having issues. For everyone else, if you want a physical book, for those of you who are full-time students, Amazon Prime, which is 2-day shipping, is free for students. So all you have to do is you just jump on there, you sign up for Amazon Prime, and you can order the book. It's like $2 on Amazon. And then you just ship it to you, and it's there within 2 days. And that should be enough time for you guys to be able to get this done. Just let me know if it's not. I know this first week is going to be touch and go. So just let me know if you're having issues. Other than that, that's pretty much everything. So let me know if you have questions, and I will look forward to hopefully talking with a few of you guys throughout the semester. So have a good week. Bye.